Yo, Bocce 2007 back at you with another one. Madam Web is Madam Dead. Dead on arrival. We're going to look at this article, but before we get into that, let's get a little bit of background on this whole thing. This all goes back to 2015 with Amy Pascal, who was one of the executives at Sony, and she was over greenlighting movies in certain parts of Sony, and she greenlit and wanted to do this movie, Ghostbusters 2016, Girl Busters as we call it, where she replaced all the original Ghostbusters, not with a new team that was taken over for the original Ghostbusters, but that they replaced the fact that the original Ghostbusters ever existed. So Venkman and all of them, according to this new Ghostbusters, those guys never existed, and these women created all of the tech. They're the original Ghostbusters. We're going to wipe away the men. Men have no basis or in existence. No man is needed for anything, and we're going to rewrite history. And women created everything, and so the only man in the movie is going to be the evil villain, and Chris Hemsworth being a complete idiot because men are incompetents and idiots, or they're villains. They're horrible human beings, and that's what men are. And that whole ideology and way of designing movies, not with women being leads, but women being the focal point of the universe, while men are all evil or incompetent morons, was birthed by Amy Pascal. She also then looked at the Spider-Man series of movies, which this part of Marvel was owned by Sony. Spider-Man and the adjacent characters in his universe are owned by Sony, or they have the license to produce movies for it. And so she also wanted an all-girls Spider-Man universe movie, and hence Madam Web was put into development way back then. And now we have this movie. So while the movie itself, as far as from what I've heard, it's not what they call woke, as far as there's not a bunch of women saying I'm strong women, men are all stupid, and doing things that are denigrating, like you might see in a She-Hulk where the men are denigrated intentionally. It's not that kind of stuff. The basis of why the movie exists is based in this whole concept of the women are everything. We need to have women empowerment. We need to have it by diminishing men and make it the only man in this movie is a villain. And there's no reason for this movie to exist. There's no story that they wanted to tell. Nobody had a great ideal that they wanted to bring to film. The movie exists for the pure point of having an all-female superhero crew, so you can see how badass women are and women's empowerment, and there's no actual purpose. And the result of creating a movie with no purpose except politics is this rudderless origin story, which is dead on arrival, as this article states it. So now, before we get further into the, can you take a moment to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell to come back for more. Liking is free. If you go ahead and like me up real quickly, we'll get right back to the program. Here we go. So this article on ndtv.com describes the movie as an insufferable, clunky, over-expository, and rudderless origin story of a French character from the Marvel Universe. Madam Web spins a yarn so insubstantial that it snaps in no time and is all over the place. Not a pretty sight, to say the least. Barely 10 to 20 minutes in, it's easy to see the bleak future of the 2-hour movie and the franchise that might be the anvil over at Sony. It goes nowhere. The dialogue is ham-fisted, the action is amateurish, the visual effects rudimentary, and the final outcome disastrous. And this is the pretty much universal view of nearly every professional review, every YouTube review, every comment that you see, other than from people review boosting with ridiculous 5-star ratings, which we'll take a look at a couple, and you can see that those are illegitimate reviews, because how is something that is so clearly, if you go through the movie just piece by piece, as a number of people have done, The movie clearly is not a masterpiece. It's not a perfect movie, but then you see people giving it 5-star ratings. They're obviously just rating boosting for politics. The opposite of review bombing is review boosting, where you just bomb it with positive ratings because you want to support the ideology behind the movie, not actually rating the quality of the movie, which a lot of people do. So here's what we're seeing for reviews. Madam Web is horrible. Madam Web is trash. Madam Web, a hilarious disaster. Madam Web, the best movie of the year. That's the critical drinker mocking it. It's a mockatory title. And if you actually watch a lot of these reviews, you'll find that it's women hitting it just as hard or harder than the men. I mean, I've watched a couple of videos today with women relentlessly mocking this movie. I mean, just relentless. So here we are, Rotten Tomatoes, a horrific 13%. I mean, you're almost down to the single digits. You just almost never see that with a modern movie, particularly not with a strong woman-led movie that suits the agenda. It's so bad. Even the people who love the agenda can't stand behind it. And even the audience score being at 56. Even for movies that are considered bad by most people, usually still pull out a 70 because the people who go to see it typically lean towards being interested in liking it in the first place. So you still usually get a nice 70%, 75%. When you get it down below that, it's just absolute trash. So way down here at the 56% mark for the audiences. And when you break it down into all critics versus top critics and so forth. Even, again, a lot of the compromised people in the all critics group who are paid by the studios, who are part of the agenda of the reviewers who were added to the Rotten Tomatoes review list just because they met certain criteria as far as ideology and check boxes, as far as demographics. And you can see all these splats. Nobody likes this garbage. It doesn't matter which group you go under. It's just everybody. Same thing. Just horrible. And it was dead before it showed up because you knew this because what's it called? Sony would not even put out a second trailer. Usually you have 3 trailers. They put out 1 trailer and quit spending money on it. They knew it was going to be a dud. And then what did they do on top of that? They jumped to holding the embargo until the day before it released. So it released on Valentine's Day, February 14th. They didn't lift the embargo to review it until the 13th. A company only does that. A studio only holds an embargo till the last minute when they know the reviews are going to be trash because they know their product sucks, and they don't want the bad juju to get out. They don't want a bad aura to form around the movie by having a bunch of bad reviews. So they hold the embargo till late. That lets you know, along with with the fact that they only did 1 trailer and they didn't want to spend any more money. They wanted to cut their losses. You know that Sony knew it was going to be garbage. Then all audiences. Then you get to the verified audiences, and you start getting some of these 5-star reviews. All right, and look at what kind of review you get for a 5-star review. Loved. Don't let the opinion of chronically online brain rot tell you this movie is bad. It's amazing, and I will see it. I will be seeing it again. When you see a review and they just say it's amazing, they don't tell you one reason why. They didn't say the plot was great. They didn't say that the action scenes were eloquently executed. They didn't say these are the most amazing characters with such amazing character development. They don't tell you any reason why it's good. They just review boost and just claim it's the most amazing movie. Everybody else is telling you it's terrible, but they say it's amazing with no actual reasons. They don't care about the actual quality of the movie. They care about the content of the agenda in the movie to boost women's empowerment, and that's the only reason why they're saying that. You can just look at it was a very good movie. I'm happy I went to see it. Money well spent. Again, no reasons why, no critiques of what makes the movie good. You know that these are just review boosting and they're not legitimate ratings. So now let's look at the box office. All right, so again, I told you it released on February 14th. Who won that day? Bob Marley, the One Love movie, has won every single day since Madam Web came out. This is a Marvel-based movie by Sony Studios and a biopic about a guy who died 40 years ago. Who most of the prime audience, that prime audience being what, like 19 to 32, is the prime audience, maybe 14 to 32 if you want to expand it out. Most of those people were not born when Bob Marley was a huge hit. And most people in that age group don't have no connection to Bob Marley. And this is the movie that beats a Marvel-based movie with 14 million on the opening day. That's how horrible Madam Web did. Dead on arrival, 6 million for opening day. Marvel movies, Spider-Man movies, traditionally Marvel movies in the last decade, they open up even just domestically on the first day, the first opening 3-day weekend, usually 14, 15, 20 million dollars. Actually, that's just in the last year where it's been lower. Traditionally, on the first day, you'd see 30, 40 million dollars the first day. Then through the 3-day weekend, you would see 120 million dollars, 6 million. That's it. Getting his tail kicked by Bob Marley, One Love. And just getting beat every day. They can't win a single day. A Marvel movie who can't win one day. Dead on arrival. Madam Web was Madam Dead on arrival. This movie has nothing. It's fallen off a cliff, even from the 6 million it started with. You get down to the last day that we had reporting, it's already down to half that much. It's already over before it started. And this is what you get with agenda-based movies that have no purpose, that have no spirit to them, where no one had a story they wanted to tell. They just wanted to put these strong female characters into the zeitgeist and just set up the next movies of the younger teenage girls to be strong female superhero characters that they could exploit in the future. They didn't actually have a story here to tell, and this is what you get when you do uninspired work that's simply based on agenda and agenda alone. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Yobachi 2007. I'm out.